Duke and Baylor are going to meet on Sunday with a berth in the Sweet 16 on the line. Duke, the only ACC team left in this tournament, which is certainly an interesting note. It's also a Jeremy Roach revenge game going up against his old team, Duke, where he spent 4 years. A lot of respect from both sides in that. Both have already talked about that. But a very intriguing matchup. Two preseason top 10 teams. VJ Edgecombe going up against Cooper Flag. Dion, there was a time where people wondered if VJ Edgecombe would be the number one prospect instead of Cooper Flag, the number one draft pick instead of Cooper Flag. That's a fun little underlying storyline to this. What is the major storyline that you're following or X factor you want to see play out in this game?
I really want to see I really want to see VJ versus Coop. I'm not one of those people that thinks there's an argument there. But I don't think Duke's faced too many teams this year, especially in the ACC. I mean, like you mentioned, they're the only team left in the ACC. I don't think Duke's faced many teams that have the athleticism that not only VJ Edgecombe but the rest of Baylor has. I'm very excited for the Jeremy Roach revenge game aspect of this. I don't know if I don't know if Shire just being honest and being like, hey man, like I don't know if it's gonna work out on next year's team is really like revenge as much as it is like maybe you should thank him. But I love the idea like we can manufacture any type of revenge game we need to
Well,
manufacture.
look, hearing Scott Drew talk about it, hearing John Shire talk about it, Jeremy Roach loved his time playing for Duke. He still has a great relationship with Shire. He's going to go back to Duke when they honor the Final Four team from 2022 and all that kind of stuff. Like he still loves Duke, so all of that's there. At the same time, Dion, there's always going to be something about an X that you're going to be competitive with.
Right.
You know what I mean? There,
Yeah.
no matter what, no matter how great of terms you may have left, there's always going to be that little bit that you want to come out on top in that. You don't want to just concede that like, yeah, you guys are better off without me. You know what I mean? Like that is
Absolutely.
going to be in play, even if there's not like a hate factor involved.
Well, I'm here for hate too though.
Oh,
I'm here for hate too. Just want to get
sports generally need more hate.
yeah,
I'm on board with that.
always, always. If Jeremy Roach, I just need him to hate Duke for 40 minutes. We can do the handshake thing right after. But for those 40 minutes, it would be special if we get Jeremy Roach just hating Duke for 40
I need
minutes.
him to start. I need him chirping. I need
Oh yeah,
everything.
oh yeah. Because I honestly think that's going to get us a better version of Cooper Flag too. I think that would wake Cooper Flag up a little bit. It would wake the whole Duke team up. And also we would finally get to see Duke react to a little adversity. That's what I'm most curious about with this Duke team, who I did pick to win the national championship. But my biggest question mark is what's going to happen when they face a little adversity. And in the ACC, they did not necessarily. I mean, obviously, I think they lost to Clemson. Do they have
Yeah.
one other loss in ACC play?
No.
Yeah,
No.
and listen, the Clemson game, some cramps happen. Like we got fruit now. We eat oranges, we eat bananas, we eat apples. Like we eat fruit now, so we're good.
So I will say this: the time that Duke did face adversity, um, I was at the Pitt game in January, which everyone knows it's Cooper Flag dunk game. There was not necessarily adversity, but at the time, Pitt was tied for first in the ACC with Duke, and that game was very close at halftime. And Cooper Flag came out and put on one of the best performances I've ever seen in a half of basketball. Against Clemson, they lost the game, and Flag slipped at the end of the game, and there were the cramps and all that stuff. What he did to bring them back into that game to get them to that point gets lost in conversation. But that was bleeping special, the stuff he was doing. It was Kobe like stuff, the stuff he was doing, the shots he was hitting. It was patently absurd. I have no doubt that they have the ability to answer when that comes. The issue is it's one thing to do that against Pitt and Clemson versus doing it against a Baylor team that has a good deal more of talent than either of those teams. I don't want to say talent to match Duke, but they have some guys who would start and play big minutes for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean the reality is, and this is kind of sad to say for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Well, where do you think Baylor finishes in the ACC? It's like two or three to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably in that mix with Louisville and Clemson, but
Yeah.
probably the favorite of those three to finish second.
Yeah, I think they finished. I personally think they finished second. I think if you want to be harsh on Baylor and pro ACC in a worst case scenario, you think they finish in between the two. But they very clearly are going to be one of the best teams besides Illinois that Duke has played since non-conference. And the only reason I say besides Illinois is because they played the random February game. But like this is easily, if not the best team Duke's played since non-con, the second best. And,
Yeah.
and I love Duke. I love this team. I still stand on like they will win the national championship, but I'm very curious how they react to this Baylor team and my confidence for the rest of the tournament is a bit going to be decided by their reaction. If they come out guns blazing, look out. Look out. It could get ugly.
This is a game where Duke should have a major advantage inside, right? As good as Norchad Omir is, and as good as he is on the boards, he is 6'7", maybe. He's listed as 6'7", and Duke has a whole starting lineup of guys who are that big or taller, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a major thing that Baylor has to overcome in the front court. But also, Duke's got to keep up with Baylor's guards, right? With Baylor's quickness, athleticism. I think this will be the first team in quite some time that Duke has faced that's quicker than they are on the perimeter. And I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, and this isn't me sliding Coop by any means. How many guys, individuals, um, how many guys has Coop faced that have the athleticism of VJ Esco? You're muted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Edgecombe's a rare athlete, so like he hasn't. But unless you've like faced Cooper Flag
You also
or
haven't. Yeah,
or or Rutgers and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, like you won't.
yeah. But
I will
when
say
you
though, Coop probably did when he was practicing with Team USA.
Fair. But I mean, in college, and like maybe
Right.
Baylor hasn't faced the individuals that Cooper Flag is, but they face the Arizonas of the world. They face the Houstons of the world. And Arizona
Yeah,
might be a crazy shot, but they're super athletic, in my
they
opinion.
are. They are.
They face the BYUs of the world. They faced a lot of these teams that present a challenge athletically. I think the biggest difference is this is Duke has not. Like Clemson, like if you play them in man to man, it's like Maybach Willie said, like sure they might be able to get some, but in a zone they have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much of a question for Coop as much it is for guys like Tyrese Proctor and Sion James. Right? Can you match that? Because Coop's a generational talent. We've talked about this. We know how good he is and how good of a defender he is. The other guys are good, but there's also the ACC factor that comes into play, as you mentioned, where you haven't been tested against those caliber of teams. So I want to see how they answer, and I want to see how Baylor handles the size differential. It's not
Yeah,
the first. It's not the first time Baylor's going to be the smallest team, but Duke's the tallest team in the country.
facts. I think both present interesting matchups for the other. The biggest difference to me is if Baylor goes out there and loses, like you just lost the best team in the country. If Duke looks human against Baylor, it's like, whoa. Because see, the thing about it is Florida, Auburn, I'm not going to name them because they struggled against Robert Morris, but y'all know who I'm talking about, have faced these challenges. Michigan State has faced these challenges. We're about to see it with Duke. In our
Yeah,
opinion of, excuse me, yeah, no, yeah, we're about to see it with Duke. I'm sorry. In our opinion, that might change based on how they react to said challenge.
yeah. I have three questions for you. One of which, the last of which, is going to be your pick for the game. If Duke wins, who is their best player other than Flag?
Man.
Okay, just size differential being a major factor there.
I think
If
if Duke wants to beat Baylor, you prevent them from getting out and running. You slow the pace down. You let Coop do his thing on the outside. Man gets a lot of offensive rebounds and does his thing on the inside.
if Baylor wins, who is their best player? Maybe other than Edgecombe.
Generational VJ Edgecombe game has to be. I'm talking
Other,
about
other
like
than Edgecombe, let's say other than Edgecombe, who has to be their best player?
I think other than Edgecombe, and this is where it's going to be rough for Baylor to pull it off. I think you're going to need Norchad Mir to hold his own down low.
Yeah,
And I think you're going to need Norchad Mir to come up big in this game and just work harder than the Duke players.
that's a potential where Duke could really miss Malik Brown is
Mm-hmm.
if Omir is able to get man in foul trouble,
Yes.
right? Because then you're going to get a lot of Ngongbo minutes, which has
Absolutely.
proven to be fine, right? But then you're pretty close to having Cooper Flag guard your opponent's big man and true post defense, which Flag can do, but it's taken him out of what he's most valuable with. Um, so who's the pick?
I like Duke.
Duke. Yeah.
After all that, I like Duke. But I'm very, very excited to see Duke have to play a challenge such as Baylor, though.
Yeah, I think Duke wins as well. I think Duke wins by double digits. It may be, close for 25 minutes or so, but it would not surprise me if Duke went on a run that kind of, it's not going to be the blowout like the Illinois game, but it would not surprise me if at some point there is that kind of run where it's like, oh, yeah, this team's real good.
Yeah. I mean, Duke is Duke, but
Yeah,
you say this about St. John. There's immediate timeout where St. John's will be losing. We don't say that about Duke. I'm going to
correct.
say that about Duke in this game. Under 16, Baylor will be up, and it's going to be a wake up call for Duke.
There will be a time where Baylor's made some threes and things get uncomfortable, and we'll need to see how Duke responds. I think they do it in a big way,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.